It is now officially the middle of the week, and like always, we at STX Capital like to showcase our prediction that we had set at the beginning of the week till now. Now, even though that the full week has not yet unfolded, we believe that these recaps can be very helpful for a lot of traders that follow us, because it allows you to see where the trade or where the stock or index is moving towards, and also allows us to give us information behind our model. You will see that the information that we provide is time-stamped and is provided before the start of the week. You see that the accuracy in certain inflection points, whether they be off, a couple of points here and there, gives us an opportunity to really discuss what is going to be trending and where the rejections happen in the model. So let's go into it, and we'll definitely share our insights about the upcoming week and what's there to come. So first and foremost, we start off our analysis by looking into SPY. So for SPY this week here, we had set a estimated weekly low at 560, and 582 is our estimated weekly high. So that means that SPY has an opportunity to really move higher later on into the week here, okay? But as you guys can see right over here, it was chopping between 570 and 576 for some time. It actually geared up and ran at this point over here. So this was not in fact chopped, but you can see that once it started to really ramp up, it pretty much stopped at the 577, pulled back, and then pretty much closed around that 577. You guys can see that is a first inflection point. We gave this at around 2 o'clock on a Sunday, and there's no timestamp. We also discussed the major AI events and the CPI report that is coming up, and that's the before, this is after. Okay, so you can see that the market is very strong. It was choppy at first because this is where the beginning of the week was. We pretty much chopped here, held this inflection point. So this was another inflection point that held over here, bouncing between this level 1 and level 2 bearish, went up to level 1 bullish, and let's see what happens more. Now, in theory, based on this information here, because SPY hit level 2 bearish, that means the market may trend lower here. Okay, so we want to see if we reject lower into the CPI report, which is coming up later the day for tomorrow. Now, the next one that we want to look at is QQQ. So for QQQ, we see that pretty much the beginning of the week, QQQ had a rough start. It started to really dip. It went beyond our level 1 bearish for a little bit of time and pretty much closed around there. So this was off by 1 point or so, and then it picked up, pretty much got through our level 1 bullish over here too. Sorry, this is our level 1. Level 1 is right here, and level 2 is over there. Okay, so that's 493.6. There's a little bit of a typo there, but you can see it stopped right over here. So this to me tells me that techs are going to be trending. So the key thing that would be moving the market is techs, and that's a key strength to the market. Since we have bank earnings that are happening this week, it's important to know that where the trend is going to be. So the QQQ is likely to be stronger, aka the NASDAQ, than compared to the other stocks. You can see this was time stamped over here and pretty much hit our inflection points. The downside was off a little bit, but pretty much this was right on. It really ripped, held the support, and then bounced right over there. The next one is NVDA. Okay, so this one's very interesting over here. So NVDA, start of the week here, once it broke 128, we played this very well. It broke out in our bullish breakout zone right over here, and once again time stamped over there. We spoke about its AI summit that they had with NVIDIA, so it was really strong beginning of the week here, and managed to get through our level 1 bullish, pulled back a little, and then start to really break out in our bullish breakout range. So you can see right over here around level 2 is where it started to really struggle, and once it hit our estimated weekly high, it really started to drop here. Okay, so we decided to get some puts today because this happened today, and the trade managed to give around 80% off that dip here. Okay, so with AMD's AI event, we want to see how this moves, and we also got Tesla's AI event, and and so forth. Okay, so this could be the top of NVIDIA this week, and it's possible that it can definitely rotate back to 129. But if you see NVIDIA break 134 this week, it's possible it can go to 138. Okay, so just be aware of that, and that's what we see on NVIDIA happening today. Okay, Tesla, we didn't really play this at all because Tesla is in our chop range over here. One thing we noticed in our room is that the 260 calls has been pretty much holding to all week, and we don't want to waste capital. We don't want to be in a play that is not moving. So as you guys can see, this was time stamped on a Sunday, and pretty much Tesla's been trading in our chop neutral range, very limited, and it pretty much held at 240, so it's stuck over here. Okay, so Tesla is unplayable, but they do have a catalyst happening tomorrow, and that is going to be that robo-taxi event. Okay, so just be aware of that. The premiums are very high into that, but it's still showing signs of weakness overall. As you guys can see, that the momentum is towards the downside on Tesla. So let's see how the event is. If the event doesn't unveil anything new, it's possible that Tesla can really break down and go into the 210 mark here. Okay, so we want to see if the 260 calls can get to 50 cents into that event, and let's see what happens there. Okay, so if it hits level 1 bearish and holds, it'll be a great play to the upside if that is in fact the temporary bottom, in case if it has a vent. So ARM analysis, we also gave this as well. You can see early on in the week it hit our level 1 bullish, rejected, and this is a gatekeeping level. Hit our level 1 bullish again, 144, rejected a little bit, and then once it broke through, it confirmed its trend at 146. Okay, so we have an estimated weekly high at around 149, and this level is going to be very tough here. Okay, because if it does manage to gap through, you can see it run to 154, and that's what we're looking at. It will most likely move off the overall AI news tomorrow and the CPI report, so that's going to be very important. It has not hit our estimated weekly high, so the game plan with ARM would be is that if we see the market open red, right, and let's just say ARM goes to 144 prior to the AMD event, it might be a solid opportunity to bounce back in, because level 2 bullish confirms the trend here. So this stock will want to stay up until it hits the estimated weekly high, and once it gets above 149, that's when it can start to run to 154. The next one is AMD. So AMD over here has an event happening tomorrow, and pretty much has been a choppy range here. Okay, so since the market opened, this is where the week started, right over here. We'll mark that so that way you guys can see. Okay, so this is where the week started. It's been chopping here, and I've been getting, hey, why is AMD such a roller coaster? The premiums are relatively expensive. You can see that in the 180 calls as well. Because the 180 calls that we're looking at, they were trading between 1 to 2. They finally hit 70 cents at their cheapest points on the 180 calls. But once AMD breaks above 175, that's when it can go. There's no real, movement in the stock so far, so we're just watching this for now. Okay, but as you guys can see, timestamped, and we confirmed they chop range here very well. Broadcom, so we played this today, and it was a fun, nice winner. You can see that with Broadcom, it pretty much was choppy over here. It didn't really hold, but once it hit our level 1, it rejected, dumped over here, and then managed to climb back, and now at our level 2 bullish. It may chop around between 186, but we have a target on this at 190, and if it manages to get that, it can really start to break out moving forward. So keep an eye on that. Meta, so we call this perfectly as well, like the others. You guys can see over here, time stamped, and we had our estimated weekly high at 620. But what happened here is that we shorted Meta on Monday, made a nice gain, and it went all the way to our level 1 bearish that same day. So from level 1 to level 1 bearish as well. It pretty much, these are the gatekeeping ranges. So you can see that Meta's trading in range right now as per our prediction, which was given in the beginning. And now what we're looking to see is that does it bounce back up to the highs again. Okay, if it gets through 602 and as particularly 607, it can really start to run. So watch for Meta to see strength. If it gets under level 1 bearish again, 555 confirms the trend to the downside this week, so just be aware of that. Dell is another one that we had on our watch list for as well. You can see that it was choppy range to 122. Once 122 broke out, hit our level 1 bullish, which is a gatekeeping level. These levels that we provide are not just any sort of sort of support or resistance. They actually mean something, right? So in our Discord, we describe that in great detail, what that means, and this has been, pretty much given here since 2023. Level 1 is a gatekeeper, so it's a crucial threshold that pretty much keeps the stock in the range, and once it gets through, that's when the stock starts to break out. Level 2 confirms the trend, so once you hit this level here, that's when the stock tries to stay up, and level 3 is usually our peak. We do also have our estimated weekly highs as well based on our analysis. The estimated weekly highs based off the gamma levels that we're looking at moving forward. So besides that, we see that Dell stopped right at 123. That was time stamped. As a trader, you can have do multiple things. You could have like shorted here if you wanted a quick scalp or whatever the case is. So we spoke about that. ASML. So if you're looking at ASML over here, was in the chop range for a bit until it started to really break out, broke through the top here. I really like ASML into the week. I think it has potential with LRCX starting to move as well. So keep an eye on the 860 calls because these can certainly start to rip today. GS with major bank earnings coming, this is going to be very important. Was in our chop range. You can see it chopped over here until it decided to break out. Hit our level 1 bullish right over there, and this is off by a couple of points. You can see that the wick didn't last. Once it really got through, stopped at our level 2. So this means that now GS is going to be trending towards upside. So it's very possible it can hit 510 as well. Baidu, so the Chinese stocks were looking very weak overall. It had a good start, didn't hit any upside inflection points, but as you guys can see, opened lower, held my level 2 bearish, dropped around there, and pretty much so far Baidu managed to hold my estimated weekly low at 102. If it breaks down there, you can pretty much see Baidu really crater to 97. Okay, so keep an eye on this because this 102 is a very strong support. And Baba is another one that we're looking at. You see that it hit my level 1 bullish early on Monday, and they start to sell China, hit my level 1 bearish, bounced up a little bit, and pretty much stopped my level 2. So this means that China stocks are going to be trending lower till they hit an inflection point. Okay, now MSTR, we pretty much just gave numbers on this where the estimate weekly. There's no real levels because the MSTR depends on the movement of Bitcoin. So we gave it at 195. We were off not by a huge margin, but the high on this was around 198, so off 3 points. So there it is, guys. You guys can see that our analysis has been perfect on SPX. Pretty much we're in the breakout range, and we do see our top at 858.30. Okay. Now, based on what's happening tomorrow, we have a CPI report happening. So the net gamma was very large. I believe that we may see a pullback on the details. The expectations are that CPI comes in at 0.1. So we want to see how that impacts the overall market. One thing you want to remember is that this is during the time when the Feds lower the rates on September. So we want to see, is inflation impacted significantly in that short run? Because if you guys could remember, yields start to really rise, and a lot of people were expecting rate cut. We got that rate cut 50 basis points. So if inflation is higher, you might see a pullback on the market. But overall, the market is more concerned about the jobs than anything. So if we do have a red open, I believe that you're more likely to see a recovery. If you don't have a massive recovery, then I believe that the market will trend lower based on the numbers. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this recap and got to things to learn on where we see the markets going. So far, what we learned is that GS is one that looks like it may go to 510. may see ASML start to move. That's one thing that we're actually looking into. And pretty much Meta is choppy. Some Mag 7s are choppy as well. You know, in some weeks we have so many different analysis, but you guys can see thoroughly that, you know, we hit the highs on NVDA perfectly and it dropped. Dell was perfect. So a lot of these inflection points are pinpoint accurate. And as a trader, when you're looking at this information, if you have the right setup, you can pretty much scalp it, do right calls, right puts, whatever you normally do. Having this low level of information is very helpful. And knowing what level 2 means, trend confirmation, you can pretty much figure out, okay, let's wait for a little bit of a pullback and then jump into the calls, because that's what level 2 is. And that's how we make consistent gains. We had a very successful day today, but overall, I just want to focus on sharing how the model works and how you guys can benefit off it. So take a look at our mentorship program. If you guys want to check it out, it can definitely be helpful towards your journey. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one.